You are listening to the Fight Report with Hanson Crafton every week on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome back, fight fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's Fight Report with Hanson Crafton. First of all, Merry Christmas, Hanson, and a lot of boxing for your Christmas pleasure.
Merry Christmas to you too. We got a good card on Friday night.
Sure do. Don't have a lot of UFC to talk about. Not much going on for about a month there, but we do have some boxing, as Hanson mentioned, coming up this weekend. A big card in Saudi Arabia that we'll get to. But first, want to recap the Anthony Joshua knockout of Jake Paul and Hanson. I think it kind of went as we expected. Probably could have been a little worse too.
It was exactly it went like we thought the ending would go. Didn't really expect the fight to play out the way it did. Felt like Jake was in there. Seemed like he was fighting scared. Now, granted, I get it. He's fighting a former heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, a knockout artist, but talked a big game. You got in there and you ran for dear life. And anytime it seemed Joshua would try to engage, he was going on all fours and tying up, going for the clinch. Seemed like he was frustrating Joshua. Joshua was chasing a knockout. You could tell he was doing things that he normally doesn't do. He wasn't cutting off the ring at all. He was throwing a lot of looping shots as opposed to straight rights and really using his jab. So it seemed like what he was doing was working in the sense that he was getting Joshua frustrated, but trying to win the fight. He wasn't going to win the fight doing that. Jake Paul's a guy who has had issues with his cardio, and that strategy seemed to be kind of drain him more than it did Joshua. So the fight was odd. It was a weird fight, but the ending was exactly kind of what we thought. Once Jake Paul got really tired in that sixth round, he basically, we're probably towards the end of the fifth, he basically turned it to a punching bag. And then Joshua started to kind of get off on him, and then he was able to put him away in the sixth. That fight kind of went like I thought it would, at least the ending did.
A little disappointing that Joshua wasn't a little more aggressive and going for the knockout early. Would have liked to have seen that, but I don't think
it seemed like he knew he was getting paid. It's kind of like a glorified sparring session. It looked like he was in there trying to get some rounds in. He signed a deal with the Turkey in Saudi Arabia, so he does have some fights coming up. I know he wants to do probably another lead-up fight, and then he wants to fight Tyson Fury. I think Fury's going to do the same, probably take a lead-up fight, and then them two are going to fight. So he does have some plans. So honestly, it looked like he was out there just kind of getting some rounds in, getting his legs under him, because it has been a while since he last fought when he got stopped by Du Bois. It looked kind of more like a sparring session for Joshua. I don't think he was as aggressive as you've seen in the past. He definitely wasn't as aggressive as he was when he fought Francis Ngannou in like an exhibition style fight. So it seemed like he was kind of just in there. I think he knew there wasn't anything Jake could do to him. So he felt super safe in there, and it looked like he was just getting some rounds in.
You don't think it probably affects either one of their careers going forward?
Jake Paul got his jaw broken. That's not anything you want to have going forward.
That's a good point, yeah.
So, but no, it doesn't really do anything to their record. Jake Paul's still going to fight the same people he's going to fight. I don't think he's going to be challenging for any titles anytime soon. And I think Joshua really wasn't in the title picture as of yet anyways. So he was going to need to win a few fights before he had an opportunity like that again. Now, I don't think it did anything to either one of them. They both made a ton of money. It was entertaining leading up to it. The fight didn't really live up to what you wanted to see, although everybody did want to see Jake Paul get knocked out. So, yeah, it doesn't do anything to either one of them.
I will say Jake Paul's a pretty tough guy. Just taking this fight, I don't understand why he took it to begin with. He kind of paid for that decision.
Yeah.
But you got to kind of commend his toughness just for getting in there with one of the biggest punchers in the world.
Listening to his videos leading up to it, his trainer and his manager, I think he was just got some bad advice. I think they really thought that Joshua was past his physical prime, that Joshua was a shell of himself. I think they really thought that Jake Paul could go in there and hurt Anthony Joshua, when Paul hasn't really hurt anybody he's fought. He's knocked out some truck drivers and Uber drivers and stuff like
Tomato
that. But when he's
cans.
been in there with real like fighters, he hasn't really put any of them away. So I don't know where they thought that he was just going to go in there and knock Anthony Joshua out. But listening to a couple of videos leading up to it, they really thought that they were going to be able to do that. They thought Joshua had slowed down, that Jake would be faster than Joshua. They thought Joshua would stand tall, which he normally does. It is one knock on Joshua is he is a tall fighter when he fights. He doesn't really get out of the way of shots. He kind of does stand tall and stand in front of you. But I think they thought that Jake would be able to hurt him, and I think he ate Jake's best punch he has to offer in that second or third round with that overhand right. It didn't do anything to AJ. So I don't know. I think he got some bad advice in there. Either that or he just tried to find one of the biggest names he could get to fight him and maybe try to get one really big payday out of it before he started taking on some more riskier fights.
I'm glad it's behind us.
Yeah, I mean that one. I think if he's going to want to really get into boxing, he's going to have to take more fights like that. Not like an Anthony Joshua, but he is going to have to fight some real fighters eventually if that's what he wants to do. I think the WWF style matches he's been doing are kind of wearing thin on people. I remember seeing leading up to this fight that they really had a hard time selling tickets. And I think they actually resorted to like giving some away. So it seems like people are kind of catching on to it, not really as interested as they were when he started. He's going to have to start taking more dangerous fights if that's what he wants to do, or you could keep going on this pace, and I just don't think he'll be around much longer.
Good.
It's the exhibition stuff's not good for boxing. I don't like any of it. I don't like the freak fight his brother had with Floyd when he had a 60-pound weight advantage. I didn't like the Tank Davis fight when he was going to fight Jake Paul with Jake Paul having such a weight advantage. Like, I don't like exhibition fights. I want to see real fights. I want to see fighters get in there that have a common goal to get to a world championship. Get in there and putting on a fake fight just for some money is not anything I'm really interested in.
Yeah, unfortunately, the boxing world kind of clowned itself a long time ago.
Yeah, it really did. They've made it tough on themselves for the fans to really get behind certain guys, and it was open for a guy like Jake Paul to come in. That's kind of what they're trying to get away from with Turk Ali, with what he's been doing, making more 50-50 fights and getting these guys to actually fight each other. Hopefully they're trying to kind of build it a new reputation and get boxing on the right track because you got some good fighters. You just have to build them the right way and get them to actually take fights where they can showcase their abilities, not, just padding their record their whole career.
Coming up on Saturday night, Hanson, we have a really good card in Saudi Arabia. It's the Night of the Samurai, 4 Japanese fighters going against 4 non-Japanese fighters. And the big one, of course, is unbeaten 31-0 Naoya Inoue against 32-0 unbeaten Alan Picasso for the undisputed super bantamweight world title. Then Junta Nakatani against Sebastian Hernandez Reyes, both unbeaten. In another big super bantamweight fight as Inoue and Nakatani are on a crash course. A couple other big fights on the night for the IBF super flyweight title. It is Kenshiro Taraji against Willibaldo Garcia. And then in a super featherweight world title eliminator, Jazza Dickens against Hayato Tsutsumi. Hanson, big night, final big card of the 2025 calendar. And before we get to that, I want to say that it's on pay-per-view on DAZN, and I hope that boxing follows the UFC's lead and makes these fights free going forward.
I don't know if that's anything on the schedule for those guys. I know they signed that deal with DAZN. A lot of guys, a lot of promoters are starting to sign with DAZN. I think they want to stick with that route. Maybe they'll see the success with the UFC, see how many eyes they're starting to get on those free cards, and maybe they will follow suit. It's just boxing's kind of built their model off pay-per-view, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that moving forward.
It's never a good model to hide your sport. from
No,
people, you know.
never a good model. You only have a select few people who can watch it. You want to get that thing in front of anybody. If they should learn from it, NFL's probably the most watched sport on TV, and they would never make it pay-per-view. And now, granted, they do some of these one-offs where they do a game on Amazon or
Sure.
Netflix or something like that, but for the most part, every household in America has access to an NFL game on Sundays. That's the model they should go after. I think the name of the game should be to get as many eyes on your product as you can, but for many times boxing's kind of broken and they've always done things probably not the right way.
Well, this should help. This card should help. Fights, big nights like this in boxing should help with the reputation.
Yeah, no, they've been doing a better job this year. We've seen a lot of really good fights. Years past, you never would have saw a fight like Canelo and Crawford unless both of those guys were completely past their prime over the hill. You never would have seen those when Mayweather finally fought Pacquiao. They both were way past their competitive primes. I know they both were still fighting, but neither one of them were in world championship form like they had been when everybody originally wanted to see that fight. It seems like it is getting better with the fighters, at least. Now you just got to get these promoters on board and then have them kind of make some changes as well.
All right, well, let's start with the big one, Hanson. Inoue against Picasso for the super bantamweight undisputed title. And I guess 1B is the Nakatani, because the big story about this night is that those two are looking to fight each other.
That's what the whole card was set up for. They've been trying to kind of get these two lined up for the last year. Now I know they've been talking about this fight since early of this year. So it seems like they've been trying to get them lined up to where they could both fight on the same night, same weekend, and then have the same break and then put together the huge fight. It looks like they've got their wish here. They're both going to be on this card. It's going to be two really good showcases. I think in a way, he's looked great this year. He said he put on some really good fights. I think his first fight was at the first of this year. He's fought in January. He fought in May. He fought in September, and now he's going to fight again in December. So, in a way, he's been very active. He is getting older. He's 32. Doesn't really. What's crazy about boxing is usually your heavier guys kind of get better as they age out. Your lighter ones kind of don't. They start moving up in weight, which is what Inoue's been doing. He's now in the super bantamweight, and then right behind him, Nakatani's coming. Nakatani's a lot younger. He's 27, but he has kind of been chasing Inoue. He's been jumping up in weight as well. He knows this is a huge fight. He's kind of been looking forward to it, so he's kind of been moving up in weight. Seems like he has been kind of chasing this fight down, and now both of them, they're one fight away from one of the biggest fights boxing can make. So it's a really good night. You're going to see two really good performances. I believe both of them are going to come in their best shape, ready to put on a show. Probably try to steal the show from each other, leading up to their clash. Neither one of them want to go into that fight looking like the weaker man. I expect two really good performances. Inoue's going to be fighting David Picasso, who is 32-0. He's a good fighter. He's ranked number one number two in the weight class. He's the number one contender. So that is a good fight. Don't know if his style is going to be good for Inoue. Plus, he is younger. I think this might be a little too soon for Picasso. He's only 25. He does have a good record, 32-0. He's got 17 knockouts, but he hasn't really had many knockouts as of late. But he had a big streak in 2023 with multiple knockouts in a row. Since then, he's only had a couple knockouts since 2023. So I don't know if he's going to be a big enough puncher to punch with Inoue. He will have to try to outbox him, which I don't know if you could do that. Inoue's such a really good fighter. He's a guy who can fight on his front foot. He's a guy who can fight on his back foot. He can lead the dance. He can counter. And Inoue has big power in both hands, and he seems to always be able to find that shot. Now, in his last fight, he didn't, but he fought a really tough guy in Akhalamadov. He was a guy who hasn't been stopped much. He was undefeated as well. But that was a fight where you really just were impressed with how tough he was, as opposed to Inoue not being able to put him away. Because Inoue did land some big shots there. He just he was just very tough, a lot tougher than people expected. But outside of that, Inouye stopped. You could go down the list. This guy's had until that last fight, everybody he had fought since 2020 he had knocked out. So Inouye is a big time finisher. He's a guy who can find the KO shot. He's a really good counter puncher, especially with his right hand. He always seems to slide it over top. He does have a good left hand, but he's more dangerous with that right hand. That overhand right, it's like a missile from Inouye. And like I said, he is able to find that shot. Last two of his last three fights, he has been hurt early in the fight, and so he's shown the ability to get off the mat and recover well too. He's had a couple fights when he fought Doheny. He got hurt early and then turned around and hurt Doheny in the same round. In a way, he's tough. He's a really good fighter. He's been one of my favorite fighters for the last few years now since I really started watching him. So he's a really tough test for Picasso Friday night. I think it'll turn into one of those where maybe Picasso's looking to just survive as opposed to actually win this fight. And I think Inouye's going to get it done. I think he's going to find that shot and he's going to put Picasso away. Neither one of these guys are going to want to look like the lesser of the two, leading to that big clash. And I think Inouye is going to lead the charge there with a pretty nice knockout.
Give me rounds on both of them.
I think Inouye gets it done. In the mid rounds, he's a guy who he breaks you down before he puts you away. So I see Inouye probably he's going to get a stop somewhere around round 6, and then Nakatani's more of your just big puncher. So I could see Nakatani probably getting an earlier finish, maybe rounds 3 to 4. I think that's where he'll find his shot. Nakatani's kind of the opposite. He's a big puncher as well, but he's more behind his left hand. He's got a really good overhand left. It's super quick. It's super sneaky. And he is the younger of the two, and he's coming up in weight, so he's probably going to be faster. But he is a guy who he's a really good fighter as well. He's fighting Sebastian Hernandez. Sebastian is 20-0, and he's got 18 knockouts. He has shown the ability to have big punch as well. He's ranked number 8 in the division, and same case with him. He's 25, and I think this might be a step too early for him. I think he's taking advantage of the opportunity he's got to get on this card and to fight Nakatani and try to surprise, shock the world, and maybe get him a big fight with Inouye. I don't see it happening. I think Nakatani's going to win this fight. Nakatani's very impressive. He's very slick. He's very quick, and he's got massive power. He's got 4 KOs in his last 5 fights, 6 if you go back his last 7. So he's a smaller guy, but he's got sneaky power. He's kind of long for the weight class, so he's kind of got that Wilder effect where he's really long and thin, but he just has dynamite in his hands, especially that left hand. He just surprises you with it. He can catch you a short range, far away. It's very sneaky and it's very powerful, and I think that he can, I think he'll definitely get a knockout in this fight, and I think he also has a very good chance when he does fight Inouye to end that fight. The left hand has kind of been Inouye's kryptonite in his last few fights. He's ran into a couple of left hands, and Nakatani's a guy where you don't want to run into that left hand. If he can somehow run Inouye into that left hand, it would be a lot of trouble for Inouye, I think, with the ability that he has shown to be able to punch. Now, he is moving up in weight, but these smaller weight classes are only separated by 2 to 3 to 4 pounds, so I don't know if that's going to be a huge difference on his power. He's not coming up too much weight, so I don't know if it'll be a situation where he loses his power jumping up in weight classes. I expect to see the same Nakatani. We'll see Friday night. And I'm looking forward to both these fights, honestly. I know a lot of people aren't too big on the smaller weight classes. I love them. I feel like that's your best skill. Your skill set shines more with the lighter guys because they're faster and they're not as heavy-handed, so they have to throw more punches. So you see more combinations, better movement. So these are 2 really fun fights. These are 2 of your best fighters of the smaller weight classes. I look for both of them to try to put on a show because they know what's in front of them, which is a super fight, and I would say a pretty big payday for both of these guys.
Hanson, the third segment is usually our news segment, but I want to just get your thoughts on Anderson Silva's win.
I mean, Anderson Silva was one of my favorite fighters in mixed martial arts. He's one of the best fighters in mixed martial arts. He was always a really good stand-up fighter, and he actually had a pro boxing fight before he got into MMA. So I wasn't really surprised. I kind of thought that he would go in there, and I thought he could knock Woodley out. Woodley's a guy who he's kind of just searching for a new career after his mixed martial arts. He wasn't really ever a stand-up guy in mixed martial art. He was a college wrestler. His success in MMA was wrestling. Now he did have heavy hands. He could knock you out if he caught you with a big punch, but he didn't really have great boxing or great stand-up when he was in mixed martial arts. Anderson did. So going into that fight, that was kind of what I expected. Even with Anderson being older, like we were saying, the heavier guys, it seems like the older you get, it doesn't really take that much out of you, especially when you can punch like Silva does. He's fought a few times now, boxing-wise, and he's got a few knockouts. You see that he does still have big power in his hands. He's got really good movement. Roy Jones Jr. was his idol, so a lot of the stuff he does in there, he gets from Roy Jones. That's kind of how I expected him to look in there.
Hanson, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have the best Christmas ever.
All right, thank you, man. You too.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie. Have the best Christmas ever, everyone.